Now, page 4, why a devout Marxist socialist is in contention for the Democrat nomination. Bernie Sanders appears to be the candidate to beat. But how is that possible? This is the land of the free and the home of a constitutional republic built upon liberty, the free markets, and a fundamental belief in God-given unalienable rights. Socialism, which is what Bernie preaches, strips human beings of those rights. So how can it be that this guy who embodies our ideological kryptonite is even in contention? Answer: the socialist makeover of this republic, born of not teaching the United States Constitution in school. For generations now, at best, public schools in America have been giving lip service to teaching the founding document. At worst, the curriculum is twisting the Constitution into some kind of evil white man's decree designed to suppress certain people in certain sectors of this society. For many, many years now, schools have chosen to not explain why the framers wanted to protect against big government and protect personal property rights and protect citizens' rights to keep and bear arms. And the results from this lack of foundational instruction is constitutionally catastrophic. Gallup polling, 43% of Americans now believe that socialism is a good thing. Compare that to 77 years ago, only a quarter of Americans thought socialism was good. Clearly, if this trend continues, at some point, a majority of Americans will support socialism. So congratulations, teachers' unions and radical politicians. Your decades-long assault on this republic is working beautifully for the anti-constitutional candidate from Vermont. This explains why younger voters gravitate to Bernie Sanders and free college and free health care and free housing and so on. Also explains 8 years of Obama, by the way. There's no way that Obama should have been elected in 2008, let alone be re-elected in 2012, unless, of course, teachers don't teach the Constitution. So the damage is done. A plurality of Americans thinks socialism is just fine, which could be enough to give Sanders the Democrat nomination for president. And if that happens, then President Trump would have a field day painting the sharp contrast between free stuff versus freedom. So it would be the best of times for re-electing the president, but it would be the worst of times for this republic, reflected by the large percentage of the electorate embracing a Marxist socialist for president. And so Sanders has morphed into the most conspicuous constitutional assassin in America and the de facto leader of the modern Democrat Party.
The wealthiest people in our country have never, ever had it so good.
Stop tape. So this is classic Marxist socialism. This is what Stalin did. It's class envy. It's pit one person or one class of people against another. The wealthy have never had it so good. So Bernie Sanders is framing the wealthy as evil and some sector of our society to attack and tear down and take away what they have built up in the name of redistributing wealth and redistributing, in his mind, equality and redistributing whatever the government wants to redistribute to other people in a society. It's exactly what they tried to do in the old Soviet Union. Wealthy people have never had it so good. Yet the rest of that sentence is poor people have never had it so good. Poor people in this country have never had it so good. Look at all the, quote, poor people who are walking around with cell phones. Life ain't so bad when you're walking around with a cell phone and you're poor. Look at the, quote, homeless people parked in Malibu in those motorhomes right along the beach where the people 100 yards from them are paying $100,000 a year in property taxes, and they're parked right there, so-called homeless, so-called poor people. The poor people in this country have never had it so good because we know what happens in a free market society, especially when the economy is good. The economy, in a strong economy, does not just raise one boat, being the wealthy boat. No, it raises all boats. We know this from our history in the 1980s. We're seeing it and living it right now. All boats rise in a healthy, strong economy. But you will never hear Bernie Sanders say this, because he wants to pit one American against the other. The poor people in this country, think about it, live better now than kings and queens did of 300-400 years ago. It's true. Poor, so-called, in this country live better now than the extravagant wealthy of 300 or 400 years ago. Way, there's no comparison. And so Bernie Sanders is applying a tactic here. You could say it's a Saul Alinsky tactic, but Saul Alinsky only borrowed it from the Marxist socialist principles, and that is class envy, class warfare. Pit one class against the other to rile them up, to get them engaged, in this case, to get them to vote for Bernie Sanders, so he, the mastermind genius, Marxist socialist, can get in there as President of the United States and by decree say, wealthy people, you are going to give to poor people over here. But that's never exactly how it works, is it? What happens is the government takes the money. Bernie Sanders takes the money and decides to do with it as he chooses, because he's smarter than everybody else. He truly believes this. And he believes in this failed ideology of Marxist socialism, which, by the way, is why he's touting things like the New Green Deal. The New Green Deal really has nothing to do with, quote, saving the environment. The New Green Deal is just another layer of government control. It's another way to control the electorate, to control the American people. And it's another layer of redistribution of wealth, because in the end, the Green New Deal punishes success in this country like every other tax that Bernie Sanders wants to apply to the American landscape. And of course, the, what is it, $34 trillion Medicaid for all? It's nonsense. It really doesn't matter about the dollar figure to Bernie Sanders. That's why he doesn't flinch when people say, well, Bernie, how are you going to pay for it? Because it's not about the money to him. It's about the control, the absolute layer of government control that he wants to impose on the American people. Money is a secondary thing. Money will always be there. He can always tax the rich, impose another tax. He can get creative and come up with a new tax to pay for his latest schemes. The bottom line is nothing about money, it has nothing to do with money. It all has to do with total government control, and Bernie Sanders wants it. So it's scary. It's truly scary that this guy is out in front and that millions of Americans support him. Question is Sanders and his radical ideology just a passing fad? Or is his brand of Marxist socialism on the American political landscape here for good?
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.